With all of the progress that has been made in fire safety in the last generation or two, the home is still the most dangerous place for people when it comes to fire. We lose about 3,000 people a year in residential fires. That's about 100,000 people over the last 30 years since we've been talking about residential sprinklers. And so the place where we really have to attack the fire problem if we're going to bring those numbers down further is right in the home.
Well, the fire problem still continues to be, for the most part, at home, where families feel the safest. That's natural because all of us feel the safest at home. But what the data tells us, and what fire departments all over the country can tell us, is where people sleep and eat, where they have all the things that they're comfortable with, is in the very home that they live, and that's where we get the calls from, the being America's Fire Service. We're at the greatest risk. And particularly the two categories of greatest risk are the very young and the very old, and that pattern continues.
So, America's fire problem is in the home, and our fire statistics clearly show this to be a case. Every 80 seconds, a residential fire occurs somewhere in the United States. This constitutes more than 75% of all United States structure fires. More than 80% of residential fire deaths, totaling nearly 3,000 deaths per year, occur in 1- and 2-family dwellings. And home fires cause more than $6 billion in direct property loss every year. Recognizing this devastating impact of residential fires, some communities have begun taking proactive steps to educate their citizens and their legislators on the importance of reducing these residential fire losses. A great example of this is Orange County, California. The Orange County Fire Authority produced an outstanding video program to demonstrate the positive impact that residential sprinklers can have. Let's watch it now.
Human nature is kind of an interesting little beast. We tend to believe that this stuff just isn't going to happen to us.
Why you don't hear about them saving lives is because it's a non-event.
People who die, children who die, are someone's child.
Property is one thing to save, but human life's another.
Orange County Fire Authority had a unique opportunity to show the effectiveness of residential sprinklers at a Tustin Air Station. We took two buildings that were fire loaded the same, which means the combustible material inside the buildings were as close to identical as possible. The only difference between the two was one was equipped with fire sprinklers while the other was not.
This room is furnished to represent a typical bedroom. There are pictures on the wall, drapes covering the windows, a bed with pillows and blankets, as well as other items. The fire is started in a trash can. As the fire grows, it starts to make a run up the drapes. It takes just 60 seconds to activate the smoke alarm down the hall. As the temperature rises and the toxic smoke becomes dense, your chance of survival decreases by the second. The temperature in the room has risen so fast that your next breath would sear the lining of your lungs if the toxic smoke hasn't already taken your life. Listen closely. You can hear the hallway smoke alarm melting as the fire, radiant heat, and smoke spread throughout the rest of the structure. This time, smoke and flames attract neighbors' attention.
Fire emergency. I'm walking by a residence at 6830 Super Stallion, and there's fire and smoke actually coming out of an upstairs window.
Once the 911 call has been received, it will take approximately 6 minutes until the first unit arrives on scene.
Orange County Fire Engine 222. We have a six-plex, two-story residence, well involved, unit on the second floor. Second alarm.
Local Region 222, copy your request for a second alarm, six-plex well involved. Battalion, sir.
It is now 13 and a half minutes into the burn, and the entire room is engulfed in flame. As firefighters enter the structure, they must first extinguish fire that has spread throughout the building, and then make their way towards the point of origin. In this room, the smoke alarm was placed in the bedroom and activates 10 seconds after ignition. In the previous burn, the smoke alarm was located in the hallway and took approximately a minute to activate. We see the same fire behavior displayed as before as it rises from the trash can and continues to grow and become hotter. As it grows and consumes the combustibles on the wall, the fire begins to roll across the ceiling. The sprinkler then activates, cooling down the room, and within minutes puts out the fire. Keep in mind, in the previous burn, the fire department didn't even arrive until 6 minutes after the 911 call.
Common sense would tell you that sprinklers are a good thing, but I had no idea of how dramatic sprinklers can be in actually putting out fires without the presence of firefighters.
On the non-sprinklered side, there was total devastation. The only thing that remained was the frame of the bed and wire hangers in the closet where the clothes once hung.
The fire gutted the entire room. When you looked at the damage throughout the rest of the structure, what I thought was interesting was there was still a substantial amount of damage, but there was no what we call fire loading in the rest of the building, which would be furniture and other combustibles. So it completely destroyed that entire room.
In fire prevention, what really surprised us was the temperature. And not the temperature at the ceiling, which we expected to rise quickly, but how quickly the temperature rose at the lower levels. Within 2 minutes, it was over 200 degrees, which made it an untenable space. On the sprinklered side, it was a completely different story. As the fire moved up the walls and started lapping at the ceiling, the sprinkler activated and extinguished the fire within a very short period of time.
You had a little bit of scorching on the wall, some damage to the container where the origin of the fire was in the trash can, and a little bit of water, and that was pretty much it.
There's no question that fire sprinklers save lives. There's no question that they work. The reason why you don't hear about it is that it is a non-news event, in that nobody dies, seldom is there an injury, and there's very little property damage. We'll respond units. By the time we get there, we cancel the rest of the units of the small mop-up operation, and that's all that's done.
I understand that developers, people who build homes and apartments and commercial buildings, have a lot of heartburn over sprinklers because they do add cost, they add expense to construction. But I would suggest to you that any developer, any builder who actually sees a demonstration, a real-life demonstration of what sprinklers do will change their mind rather quickly.
What really convinced me was how quickly the sprinklers attacked the fire, how quickly the temperatures dropped, and it would have given, I think, any occupant a reasonable opportunity to get out.
This is one of those add-ons that it's just a kind of a no-brainer, it seems to me. Yeah, you're going to pay another, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 in the price of your home for sprinklers, but look what you get for it. I mean, people are paying far more than that kind of money for some ridiculous cosmetic improvements in their homes, and they pay it willingly.
People see